Why doing things that make you uncomfortable is actually a very good thing. In this video, I want to talk about why as entrepreneur and business owners, we want to put ourselves in situations that make us feel uncomfortable and how we can learn and grow from these situations. You see, most people just want to live their life peacefully and not be challenged in any way, both mentally and physically. This is obviously a mistake, and most people will avoid uncomfortable situations like they avoid fire or drowning or whatever it is. So this is obviously a mistake, and most entrepreneurs, at least the good ones or the ones that are looking to grow, put themselves deliberately in uncomfortable situations because they look to learn, they look to grow, just like I'm doing right now. This YouTube channel is a new thing for me. It makes me feel uncomfortable. At least at the beginning, it made me feel really uncomfortable. But I'm doing it anyway because I want to learn and I want to grow and develop as a person and as a business owner. In this video, let's talk about why putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, both as a human and as a business owner, entrepreneur, is actually a very good thing. And at the end of this video, I will also give you 2 proven scientific ways why is it so. So you know the old phrase that says the best school is the school of life, right? And there are many ways to interpret that phrase, but I think the most important one is this one. Right, so obviously you learn the best by experiencing things yourself and in real life and not just in theory, right? There's a huge advantage of actually doing things in real life and not just experiencing them by someone else or by someone else's experience. So real life situations, most likely they happen not as the books teach you at school. Your fancy business and marketing degree can't really teach you the real life experience that a marketing executive right now who's on the job is experiencing every day. When you are faced with real life situations, you learn to evolve, you learn to adopt and react as you go. And as much as learning and books help, there's nothing like real life experience. I think the most important takeaway from that phrase is what actually happens to you mentally or emotionally, mentally as you face with a new situation or you learn something new in your life. You actually grow as a person when you are facing with real life situations that you feel uncomfortable, right? So when you do something new, your brain actually evolves, your brain actually grows. Something happens to your brain. While you are dealing with a new situation, you actually make your brain better. This is not a joke. Your brain actually improves as you're doing that new thing, as you're learning that new skill, as you're facing a new and uncharted situation that you need to overcome. So as you put yourself in challenging situations regularly, you actually prepare your brain and your mental self to be better equipped for those situations moving forward, right? You actually get better at handling situations before they occur. And next time when you will face a situation that you never faced before, you will be better equipped to handle it. Here's a real life example in relation to business. Let's say you're a starting entrepreneur, you started your business, you're working hard, you're grinding, and at some point you reach a level of success and you are faced with a situation, with a good situation. You have the chance to pitch your business idea to a group of investors and potentially get maybe a major investment that will push your business forward. But what if you're an introvert and you really hate public speaking and you're really afraid of speaking in front of a group of people? I know I am, maybe not, not as much as I used to, but still I'm not comfortable talking in front of a lot of people. Let's say you are the same. Obviously we can agree this is a good opportunity for you and your business and you should take it. How do you handle yourself when you know this situation will challenge you, this situation will not be comfortable for you, it will be really uncomfortable? what do you do? Well, the answer here may not surprise some of you, but there's no big secret here. The best thing that you can do is just practice and do it often. If speaking in front of 50 people scares you to death or half to death, you should do exactly that as much as possible, right? If you know 2 weeks from today or 2 months from today, you have your big pitch presentation in front of 50 potential investors, what you do to prepare is you start speaking in front of a group of people. Maybe start small. Talk in front of your wife, talk in front of your partner. Then move on, talk in front of your brother and your partner together. Then do it in front of 5 people, 10 people, move up to 20 people until you feel comfortable about speaking in front of a group of people without being completely lost. Just for a minute, let's break down what will happen to you when you start practicing doing something that you're really scared of or really feel uncomfortable. So on the same example as public speaking, right? The first time you stand in front of a group of people and you have to speak, you're probably really sweaty, right? You lose words, you get choked up, you can't really remember what you want to say, you never ever make eye contact with your audience, you're scared to death, you just want it to be over, and for you it went terrible, nobody liked you, and you will probably never do that again, right? But the second time that you do that, all of a sudden you remember more words, maybe you sweat a little bit less, maybe at the end of the presentation you look kind of like with a half eye to your boss or your colleague just to see their reaction. You felt a little bit better, you know, the scare wasn't that big after all, and overall this could be a good thing. The third time when you go in front of people, you got this, right? Now you feel like, I got this. I remember everything I want to say by heart. I interact with the audience. I make jokes. All of a sudden, I feel great, right? This went awesome. Now, what happened here is not necessarily that you got really good at public speaking all of a sudden. What happened here is that your brain learned how to adapt to this new situation, and ultimately it made you feel better because you learned a new skill right now, which is to speak in front of a group of people. And as you learn something new and you get better at it over time, you start to feel much better about it. Here's another example, real life example that doesn't have to do with business, right? Because not everything in life is business. So let's say you want to learn how to skateboard, right? You bought a new skateboard, you always looked at it on TV and it looked really fun. So you get on the board, right? The first time you get on the board, you probably fall a few times on your ass and it hurts and you feel really uncomfortable, right? You feel the rush of adrenaline. This is your body trying to adapt and learn this new experience. Your brain is trying to figure out, how am I going to do this new thing now that this person put me in? You put your brain in a new situation. Your brain needs to learn how to adapt, and trust me, it will. Now, after some time that you get on that skateboard and you skate, right, you suddenly feel a little bit more comfortable. Suddenly your body is not stiff anymore. Suddenly you get a little bit flexible. You start feeling that balance, right? You fall off less and less until you even don't fall it off at all. And then suddenly you're starting making moves, you feel comfortable, you start to smile, you're starting to enjoy the process, right? So what happens here? Now, obviously, I'm not saying that after a couple of times of you skateboarding, you become a world champion, right? But what happens here is that as your body and brain is learning this new skill, you feel more comfortable. Your body gets acclimated to the new situations. All of a sudden, you have a new skill and you feel comfortable about doing it. That's really just how it works. And now let's get into the science behind it, of what happens inside your brain when you challenge yourself or when you do an uncomfortable thing. I'm going to read it from my laptop because, there's a lot of technical details here that I'm not necessarily going to remember. So excuse me while I look aside for my screen. So your brain is made up of about 85 billion neurons which is more than the number of stars you can see with your naked eye when you look up at the sky, right? A neuron is like a cell that acts like a messenger, right? When you do something new, when you do anything actually, that neuron is sending information in the form of nerve impulses, which is like an electrical signal, to other neurons, right? I'll put an image here and illustrations to show you what I'm talking about. So for example, when you are writing, right, when you are typing in the computer, some neurons in your brain send the move fingers message, move finger command into your fingers, into other neurons, and everything moves like in a spider web, and that message travels through the nerves. Like nerves is like a lot of cables that connects everything together, right? And all the way down to your fingers, and when you do the typing movement, that's actually what happened inside your brain. Crazy, right? The electrical signal that are the communications from one neuron to another, this is what allows you to do everything that you do in life, right? When you write, when you think, when you see, when you jump, when you talk, when you do this YouTube video, everything that you want to do, these neurons that connect to each other with electrical messages, that is what makes it happen, right? So each neuron can actually be connected with up to 10,000 other neurons, and this leads to a large number of connections inside your brain, which actually kind of resembles like a really thick and deep spider web. And let's see another image of that, right? So now when you put yourself in a new situation, or you're trying to learn a new skill that makes you feel uncomfortable, what actually happens is a very important change that takes place inside your brain. This change includes the creation of new neurons. You actually create new neurons inside your brain. I want you to listen to this very carefully. And this phenomenon is actually called neuroplasticity. I think I pronounced it the right way. And the more you practice that new skill or that new thing, the better the connections become. So think about it like this. When you start something new, it's like this, right? When you start something new, something starts connecting, new neurons come together, right? At the first, they're not really connected very hard. So, you're not very good at it. You want to skateboard? Fine, here's you at the beginning. It's not really connected. But as you practice and you do it more, they get a better connection. And at the end, right, they locked in. You have this thing down. Now you can do it on the daily. So this is just like, a little bit of science behind what happens inside your brain when you want to do something new, or when you're doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Now, the second example I want to talk about is what happens when you're too comfortable, right? Let's talk about that. On the flip side, when you're too comfortable, you're basically numb, right? If you do something that you've done a million times before, you're not challenging your brain, you're not challenging yourself, the connections are already so strong, the neurons are already so strong that you don't really evolve. You don't really grow your brain. You don't really develop as a person or as a business owner, which is not a state that you want to be in. A good example of that situation is, let's say you're driving to your office or you're driving to work, right, every day for like a full year or whatever. After some times when you do the same way, the same route, doesn't matter if you're driving or you're on a bus, after some times you don't even really remember the way, right? You don't really remember the details of how you got from your home to your work. Your brain is just checked out. You do it on autopilot, and there's nothing really going on there. It's just like an automatic response to things you've done a million times. So the key takeaway here from this video is that you always need to make sure your brain is on high alert. You always need to make sure that your brain is evolving and growing. This also happens when you read a lot of books, right? When you read books, you learn new things. Your brain creates those new neurons that now makes your brain grow. This is not something that's not proven. This is proven by science, and I think it's very important for every young entrepreneur to know. You got to challenge yourself. You got to put yourself in situations that challenge you, and you want to watch yourself grow over time. So being uncomfortable is actually a very good thing and you should adopt that. I would actually love to know, please comment below on what situations that you put yourself into recently that made you feel uncomfortable, and comment below how you learn from it and grow from it. And obviously don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos on entrepreneurship and personal finance. I'll see you in the next video.